As the end of the academic year approached, Jack stood in the main hall watching new students arrive for orientation tours. Among them was another human from Earth, a girl with dark hair and confident steps, looking around with the same mix of wonder and wariness Jack had felt months earlier. "That's Olivia Martinez," Katie said, following Jack's gaze. "Another Earth student for next year." Jack watched as other students whispered and moved away from Olivia. He saw her notice their reactions, saw her shoulders tense. "I should go talk to her," Jack said. "She'll need someone who understands what she's going through." As Jack approached Olivia, he overheard nearby students whispering, "That's him, the Death Worlder who saved everyone on Verdant. I heard humans can survive things that would kill us instantly. They say he's going to teach survival techniques next year." Jack smiled and extended his hand to Olivia. "Welcome to the Galactic Academy. I'm Jack Miller." Relief spread across Olivia's face at seeing another human. "Nice to meet you. This place is overwhelming." "It gets better," Jack assured her. "Let me introduce you to some friends." As they walked through the hall, a group of curious first-year students followed at a distance. One finally gathered the courage to approach. "Excuse me," the young alien asked, "is it true what they say about Earth? About seasons?" Jack and Olivia exchanged glances, and Jack saw understanding in her eyes. They had both grown up in a world where the environment itself constantly changed, where adaptation wasn't just a survival strategy, but a way of life. "Actually," Jack said, as students gathered around, "that's one of my favorite things about Earth. Let me tell you about how we celebrate the seasons changing." And so began another story, not about danger and survival this time, but about how the very environmental pressures that made Earth a death world had created a species that saw beauty in change and possibility in challenge, a perspective the galaxy was finally beginning to understand and value. The return to the Galactic Academy was met with celebration. News of the Verdant incident had spread, and the entire school had followed the rescue mission closely. As the students disembarked from the shuttle, they were greeted with cheers and curious questions. In the days that followed, Jack found his status completely transformed. Students who had once avoided him now approached to ask questions about Earth or survival techniques. Several professors invited him to speak in their classes about practical applications of human adaptability. 2 weeks after their return, Dr. Xalan summoned Jack to his office. The professor's translucent skin seemed to pulse with excitement as Jack entered. "Student Miller, please sit down." Dr. Xalan gestured to a chair designed to accommodate multiple species. "What you may not know is that your admission to this academy was part of a larger research initiative." Jack frowned. "What do you mean?" "The Galactic Scientific Council has been studying Earth for decades, trying to understand a puzzle," Dr. Xalan explained. "How could a species from such a dangerous world advance so quickly? Most species that evolve on death worlds remain primitive, focused solely on survival. Yet humans developed art, philosophy, science, and space travel in a remarkably short time." "I never thought about it that way," Jack admitted. "We brought you here partly to observe how a human would integrate with other species." Dr. Xalan continued. "The Verdant incident, while unplanned, provided invaluable data. Your leadership demonstrated exactly what makes humans unique." "Which is what?" Jack asked. "You adapt quickly, solve problems creatively, and most importantly, you help others survive." Dr. Xalan's organs pulsed with different colors. "Many Death World species develop aggression or selfishness as survival traits. Humans developed cooperation." Dr. Xalan slid a tablet across the desk. "We would like to offer you a teaching assistant position for a new course next semester, Survival Strategies Across Diverse Environments. Your first-hand knowledge would be invaluable." Jack stared at the tablet in surprise. "You want me to teach?" Indeed, students from across the academy, especially those planning careers in exploration or emergency response, are eager to learn from you. Later that day, Jack met his friends in their usual study spot. He told them about Dr. Xalan's offer. "That's amazing." Katie hugged him. from scary Deathworlder to teacher in one semester. I'm not surprised, Vex said, his flowers fully open in happiness. You taught us more in 3 days on Verdant than we learned all semester. Will you do it? Leary asked. Jack nodded. I think I will. Zorn's crystalline form gleamed. And I have news as well. The Petraxian Science Ministry has approved a research exchange with Earth. I've been selected to participate. You're going to Earth? Jack was stunned. Yes. After hearing your stories and witnessing your adaptations firsthand, many species are reconsidering Earth's isolation. If humans can survive here, perhaps others can visit Earth with proper preparation. I'm going to, Katie said quietly. I applied for the exchange program yesterday. It's time I saw the planet my family came from. Jack felt a swell of pride. His stories had opened doors, not just for him, but for greater understanding between Earth and the galaxy. 3 days passed on planet Verdant. Under Jack's guidance, the stranded students had transformed their crash site into a surprisingly functional camp. Using the damaged shuttle as a base, they had built sleeping areas, collected water from a nearby stream, and created a perimeter of markers to prevent anyone from getting lost. Professor Malk was recovering slowly. His alien biology was different from human, but Jack had applied basic first aid principles. Stop the bleeding, prevent infection, monitor closely. The professor now sat propped against a tree trunk, watching his students with newfound respect. You've done well, Miller, Professor Malk said as Jack checked his bandages. Without your leadership, this situation could have been dire. Jack shrugged. This is pretty mild compared to some camping trips I've been on. You keep saying things like that, Vex said from nearby, where he was sorting edible plants. But now I believe you. The night had been hardest for many students. Species from worlds with no predators found the natural darkness terrifying. Jack had organized watches and kept a fire burning, explaining fire safety procedures as he did so. Katie had proven to be Jack's most valuable helper. Though raised off-world, she adapted quickly and learned survival skills with enthusiasm. She was currently teaching a group of students how to filter water using torn pieces of the shuttle's emergency blankets and sand, a technique Jack had shown her the day before. Nix approached Jack as he finished checking on Professor Malk. The Centurion had been notably quiet since the crash, observing Jack's actions with growing curiosity. The solar interference is still blocking communications, Nix reported, but it appears to be weakening. The Academy should be able to locate us soon. Good, Jack nodded. How are the food supplies holding up? Sufficient for another 2 days, based on your rationing system, Nix said stiffly, then more reluctantly. Your method of organizing resources by nutritional needs rather than equal portions was logical. Jack recognized this as the closest thing to an apology he was likely to get from the proud Centurion. Thanks for helping monitor the supplies. Your species has good attention to detail. Nix seemed surprised by the compliment. The four-armed anatomy of Centurions evolved for complex tool use and resource management. Before we achieved galactic travel, my ancestors survived periodic resource scarcity on our homeworld. Jack realized this was the first time Nix had shared anything about his own planet's evolutionary pressures. Sounds like Centurions and humans might have more in common than we thought. As evening approached, students gathered around the fire Jack had built. The past few nights, Jack had answered endless questions about Earth survival techniques. Tonight, the mood was different. Students wanted to share stories from their own worlds. On my homeworld, Leary said, her fluid form reflecting the firelight, we evolved in deep oceans where pressure would crush most species. When early Meridians first explored the surface, the lack of pressure was as dangerous to us as vacuum would be to you. Zorn spoke next. Petraxians evolved on a world with extreme temperature variations. Our crystalline bodies store heat during the day and slowly release it at night. Without this adaptation, we would shatter in the cold. One by one, students shared evolutionary adaptations from their homeworlds. Each species had faced challenges, though none as varied or constant as Earth's. Jack listened, fascinated by the diversity of problems life had solved across the galaxy. Even Katie shared what she knew about Luna Colony, how humans had adapted artificial environments to support life in space, creating a new branch of human evolution. As night fell and the stories continued, Jack noticed Nix sitting slightly apart, watching thoughtfully. The Centurion caught Jack's eye and gave a small nod of acknowledgement. A bright light suddenly appeared in the sky above them. A rescue shuttle from the Academy descended slowly, its searchlights sweeping the area. Cheers erupted from the students. As they prepared to board the rescue shuttle, Professor Malk addressed the group. What began as a simple field study became much more valuable. You've all learned practical applications of evolutionary theory through this experience. On the journey back to the Academy, students who had once feared Jack now sat near him, asking questions, sharing observations. The nervous awe had been replaced by genuine respect. Jack looked around at his classmates, beings from across the galaxy with different biologies, different evolutionary histories, different strengths. For the first time, he felt he truly belonged among them, not despite being from Earth, but because of it. Jack pushed through the crowd to reach the professor. He checked Malk's pulse and breathing. He's alive but unconscious, Jack announced. We need to stop the bleeding and find shelter. The shuttle's communications are down, someone said. We can't call for help. Jack looked around at the frightened faces. Many species here had evolved in completely controlled environments. They had no natural instincts for survival situations. Listen up, Jack said loudly. We need to get organized. This solar activity could get worse, and night will fall eventually. Who put you in charge, Deathworlder? Nix pushed forward. Why should we listen to you? Because I know how to handle this situation, Jack said calmly. On Earth, we train for emergencies like this. More Deathworld stories. Nix scoffed, but his voice held a note of uncertainty. This isn't a story, Jack said. This is real. And we need to work together to survive until rescue comes. Katie stepped beside Jack. He's right. The Academy will send help when we don't return, but it could take days. We need shelter, water, and medical care for Professor Malk. The students looked at each other, then back at Jack. Even Nix fell silent. Okay, Jack said, taking charge. First, we need a shelter. The shuttle is damaged, but could provide protection. Second, we need water. Third, we need to care for the injured. Everyone with medical training, come with me to help Professor Malk. Everyone else, gather with Katie to collect supplies from the shuttle. As the students began following his instructions, Jack felt a strange calm settle over him. This situation would be dangerous on Earth, but here, on a world chosen for its safety, they had a good chance of survival. All he needed to do was apply what he'd learned growing up on the most dangerous planet in the galaxy. 2 days after Jack's presentation, the Academy announced a scientific expedition to Verdant, an uninhabited planet nearby. A group of 20 students would collect samples and conduct research under the supervision of Professor Malk, a senior biology instructor. It's perfect for field studies, Professor Malk explained during the briefing. Verdant has stable weather, moderate gravity, and no dangerous wildlife. The perfect learning environment. Jack, Katie, Vex, Leary, and Zorn were all selected for the trip. To Jack's annoyance, Nix was also chosen. The Centurion continued to glare at Jack whenever they crossed paths, clearly still skeptical about his Earth stories. The morning of the expedition, students boarded the Academy shuttle. Jack looked out the window as they left Serenity Prime behind. This would be his first visit to another planet since arriving at the Academy. Excited? Katie asked, taking the seat beside him. Yeah, Jack said. It'll be good to feel dirt under my feet again, even if it's alien dirt. Vex, overhearing from across the aisle, shuddered slightly. You actually like touching raw planetary surface. The shuttle journey took 3 hours. As they approached Verdant, Jack saw a world of rolling hills and gentle forests, with calm lakes scattered across the landscape. It looked pleasant, but somehow too perfect, lacking Earth's wild beauty. "Preparing for landing," the pilot announced. "We're experiencing some unusual solar activity, but nothing to worry about." The shuttle touched down in a small clearing. Students filed out, many hesitating before stepping onto the natural ground. Professor Malk organized them into research teams and distributed equipment. "Remember, stay within 1 kilometer of the shuttle," Professor Malk instructed. "We'll meet back here in 4 hours." Jack's team included Katie, Vex, and 2 other students he didn't know well. They headed west, collecting soil and plant samples along the way. Jack enjoyed feeling a breeze on his face, even if the air smelled different from Earth's. 2 hours into their research, the sky darkened suddenly. Jack looked up to see swirling colors in the atmosphere. "Solar flare," Katie explained, checking her instruments. "Bigger than expected." A high-pitched alarm sounded from the direction of the shuttle. The recall signal. "We need to head back," Jack said. His team quickly packed up their samples and started walking back. They were halfway to the shuttle when a blinding flash lit up the sky. Jack's equipment went dead. Katie's scanner sparked, and she dropped it with a yelp. "The solar flare must have caused an electromagnetic pulse," she said, rubbing her hand. "All our electronics are fried." They continued toward the shuttle, moving faster now. When they arrived at the clearing, they found chaos. The shuttle had attempted an emergency takeoff to escape the solar activity, but had crashed back down. Its nose was crumpled against the ground, and smoke poured from one engine. Students milled around in panic. Professor Malk lay on the ground near the shuttle, a deep gash on his forehead. No one seemed to know what to do. As he spoke, Jack realized how ordinary these stories seemed to him, yet how extraordinary they sounded to his audience. Katie was leaning forward in her seat, fascinated by the planet her ancestors had left behind. Vex's flowers had closed tightly, a sign of stress. Lyri had condensed her fluid form, while Zorn's crystalline structure had dulled slightly. In conclusion, Jack said, Earth's diverse environments, predators, diseases, and natural disasters all shaped human evolution. We developed adaptability, endurance, and problem-solving skills to survive. What might seem dangerous to other species is simply home to us. When Jack finished, there was a moment of silence before Dr. Zallen spoke. "Thank you, Student Miller, for that illuminating presentation. Are there any questions?" Dozens of hands, tentacles, and appendages shot up. Before anyone could be called on, a voice rang out from the back of the room. "I don't believe it." Nyx, the Centurion, stood up. "No species could evolve on a planet with so many threats. He's exaggerating to make humans sound impressive." Jack felt his face grow hot. "Everything I've said is true. Drinking poison for pleasure, swimming in predator-filled waters for fun, deliberately exposing yourselves to weather." Nyx scoffed. "You expect us to believe your species is that reckless and still survived?" Dr. Zallen intervened. "The Earth data in our galactic database confirms Student Miller's claims about his homeworld's conditions." "Then perhaps he's exaggerating his personal stories," Nyx challenged. "No child could survive these supposed ordeals." Several students murmured in agreement. Despite his presentation, many still couldn't comprehend a world like Earth. Jack looked around the room, seeing doubt on many faces. Even his friends looked uncertain. How could he make them understand a world they had never experienced? A world where danger was normal, where children learned survival skills alongside reading and writing, where adaptation wasn't extraordinary but necessary. The day of Jack's homeworld presentation arrived. The lecture hall was packed. Word had spread about the human from Earth who had survived a bear attack and led students to safety during the emergency drill. Everyone wanted to hear about the mysterious death world. Jack stood at the front of the room, trying to calm his nerves. Dr. Zallen nodded encouragingly from the professor's station. Katie gave him a thumbs up from the front row, while Vex, Lyri, and Zorn sat nearby, offering support in their own ways. Today I'll be talking about Earth, Jack began, and how its environments shaped human evolution. He activated the holographic display, showing an image of Earth from space. Blue oceans, green and brown landmasses, swirling white clouds, and polar ice caps appeared in stunning detail. Earth has a wide range of environments, Jack explained. From ice caps, where temperatures drop below freezing, to deserts, where they soar above 40 degrees Celsius. We have mountains, oceans, forests, grasslands, and everything in between. Jack showed images of Earth's diverse landscapes, watching his classmates' reactions. Many appeared disturbed by the untamed wilderness. Because Earth has so many different environments, humans had to adapt to survive in all of them. We can live almost anywhere on our planet because our bodies can handle extreme conditions. Jack moved to his next point. Earth also has thousands of predator species that have shaped our evolution. Our ancestors had to develop speed, tool use, and group cooperation to survive. The images changed to show lions, wolves, sharks, and other predators. Several students made sounds of alarm. Perhaps most unique about Earth is our weather, Jack continued. Weather patterns can change rapidly, bringing storms, floods, fires, and other natural disasters. Humans had to become highly adaptable to survive. Jack showed footage of a hurricane, then a wildfire, then a flood. The class was silent, watching in horror. But the most dangerous thing on Earth might be the invisible threats, Jack said. Bacteria and viruses constantly attack our bodies, forcing our immune systems to fight a never-ending battle. This concept seemed to disturb his classmates more than anything else. The idea of microscopic organisms living everywhere, trying to invade their bodies, made several students visibly uncomfortable. To illustrate how these conditions shaped humans, I'd like to share some personal experiences, Jack said, following Dr. Zallen's suggestion. Jack told them about learning to swim in rough ocean waters when he was 6 years old. He described breaking his arm climbing trees as a child and continuing to use it despite the pain. He explained surviving a house fire by crawling through smoke-filled rooms. He talked about enduring extreme weather conditions during a winter storm that knocked out power for a week. Katie stood up suddenly. "I believe him," she said loudly. "Even though I've never been to Earth, the stories match everything my grandparents told me. Humans are tougher than we look." "But the safety zone is that way," Katie pointed in the opposite direction. "That corridor is jammed. We'll never get through," Jack said. "This route is longer but clearer." Jack led them through the academy, helping panicked aliens along the way. He reached the safety zone and helped organize the frightened students, making sure everyone had space to breathe or photosynthesize, or whatever their species needed. Academy staff arrived minutes later, surprised to find the safety zone so orderly. The emergency, they announced, had been contained. A small breach quickly sealed, but the drill had been necessary to test response protocols. Later, as they walked back to their rooms, Zorn asked Jack, "How did you remain so calm?" Even Katie was frightened. Jack thought about it. "On Earth, we have emergency drills all the time. Fire drills, tornado drills, earthquake procedures. From kindergarten, we practice responding to disasters." The weeks flew by at the Galactic Academy. Jack's camping story had spread throughout the school. Some students now avoided him even more, while others watched him with newfound curiosity. Jack found the attention uncomfortable. On Earth, he had been average, not particularly strong or brave by human standards. Here, simply surviving his normal childhood made him seem like some kind of superhero. In practical classes, Jack excelled. His hands could repair engines that required special tools for most species. His body could withstand training exercises that would exhaust others. But in theoretical subjects, Jack struggled. The academy used telepathic learning aids and virtual reality immersion that human brains weren't fully compatible with. Astrophysics was his worst class. Professor Rylex, a tall, spindly alien with 8 eyes and a reputation for strictness, seemed to take particular pleasure in pointing out Jack's mistakes. Student Miller, Professor Rylex called out during class. Perhaps on your death world, the laws of physics operate differently, because your calculations show a complete misunderstanding of basic wormhole dynamics. The class fell silent. Jack looked down at his work, his face hot with embarrassment. I just reversed 2 numbers, he mumbled. Speak up, Deathworlder, Professor Rylex demanded. I said I reversed 2 numbers in the equation. Jack repeated louder. Carelessness is unacceptable in astrophysics. Such an error in real life would collapse a wormhole and destroy everything within 50 light years. Professor Rylex turned away. I expected more from a species that supposedly evolved heightened survival instincts. After class, Katie caught up with Jack in the hallway. Don't let Rylex get to you. Everyone says he's been bitter since he lost a research position to a human scientist 20 years ago. Thanks, Jack said. It's just frustrating. On Earth, I was good at physics. Here, I can't even use the learning systems properly. It's because they're designed for telepathic species, Katie explained. But I can help. Luna colony schools use modified versions for humans. We could study together. Jack smiled for the first time that day. I'd like that. That evening, an alarm blared through the academy. Red lights flashed in every corridor. A computerized voice announced, "Emergency protocol activated. Minor hull breach detected in Section 14B. All students proceed to designated safety zones." Students poured into the hallways in panic. Many species had evolved in completely protected environments and had no instinctual response to danger. Vex's body had gone rigid with fear. Lyri was losing her form, her liquid body quivering uncontrollably. Even Zorn, despite his solid crystal structure, seemed frozen in place. Jack felt a strange calm come over him. "Follow me," he said to his friends. He took Vex by the vine arm and guided him forward. Other students were running in all directions, creating dangerous bottlenecks at doorways. Jack observed the emergency route indicators and chose a less crowded path. 3 weeks into the semester, Jack found himself in the academy's common area with Katie, Vex, Lyri, and Zorn. They had formed a study group that met after classes. Tonight, they were working on star navigation calculations, surrounded by glowing holographic maps of distant systems. "I still don't understand how you calculate drift in an ion storm," Vex said, his leaves drooping in frustration. "Let me show you again." Jack reached for Vex's tablet. As he extended his arm, his sleeve pulled back. Vex gasped. "Jack, your outer covering is damaged." Everyone at the table looked at Jack's arm, where several long scars marked his skin. Jack quickly pulled his sleeve down. "They're just old scars. It's nothing." "Scars." Lyri's fluid form rippled in confusion. "Your species keeps damage marks. How did you survive such injuries?" Zorn's crystalline voice vibrated with concern. Jack shifted uncomfortably. He hadn't meant to show his scars. Most galactic species had medical technology that prevented scarring, or their bodies simply regenerated perfectly. "It happened years ago," Jack said. "I was 14. My dad and I went camping in the Rocky Mountains." "What is camping?" Vex asked. "It's when humans deliberately go into the wilderness and sleep there. For fun," Katie explained, though she'd only read about the practice. Their alien friends looked horrified. "You willingly leave safe dwellings." Lyri's normally smooth surface rippled dramatically. Jack nodded. "It's pretty normal on Earth. Anyway, we were 3 days into a week-long trip when a storm hit. Not just rain, but hail too. Balls of ice falling from the sky. Ice projectiles." Zorn's crystal structure paled. "From the sky. We needed to find shelter fast. In the rush, I got separated from my dad." Jack paused, remembering. "I was trying to get back to our campsite when I turned a corner on the trail and came face to face with a bear." "What's a bear?" Katie asked, leaning forward eagerly. "A large predator. Twice my size, massive claws, powerful jaws. They usually avoid humans, but this one was cornered and scared because of the storm. The aliens had gone completely still. Even Katie looked pale. It attacked. I fell backward down a rocky slope trying to escape. That's how I got these. Jack rolled up his sleeve again, pointing to the scars. The rocks tore my arm up pretty badly. Did the bear eat you? Vex whispered, then realized what he'd said. I mean, Jack smiled. No, I managed to find a small cave to hide in. The bear couldn't fit, but I was lost, injured, and the storm was getting worse. What did you do? Katie asked. I remembered my training. First, I made a tourniquet to stop the bleeding using strips from my shirt. Then I found a way to collect rainwater. I had some emergency rations in my pocket. I stayed in that cave for 3 days. 3 days, with a predator outside. Leary's form had gone almost completely still. The bear left after a few hours, but I was lost. On the 3rd day, I climbed to higher ground and used my emergency mirror to signal a rescue helicopter my dad had called when I didn't return. Jack finished his story and looked up to find all 4 of his friends staring at him in stunned silence. But that's... Vex's voice trembled. Any one of those things would kill most species. The predator, the falling ice, the injury, exposure to the elements. It wasn't that bad, Jack shrugged. Lots of kids have wilderness survival stories where I'm from. They do. Katie looked shocked. I've never even seen real weather. Is that what your whole planet is like? Zorn asked. Constant danger. Not constant, Jack said. But we're prepared for it. We're taught survival skills from a young age. A voice spoke from behind them. Fascinating. They turned to see Dr. Xalan standing there, eyes wide with interest. Student Miller, would you consider sharing such experiences in your homeworld presentation? First-hand accounts of evolutionary pressure responses would be invaluable. Jack felt all eyes on him. I guess I could, Professor. As Dr. Xalan walked away, whispers spread across the common area. Jack's story was already traveling through the academy. The Earth human had survived what would be a horror story to most species and called it a camping trip. Will you tell us more? Katie asked. About Earth. Jack nodded slowly, realizing for the first time how truly different his homeworld was from anywhere else in the galaxy. Jack woke up sweating. The temperature controls in his room were set for Vex's comfort, and what felt perfectly pleasant to the plant-like Florian was like a humid greenhouse to Jack. He wiped his forehead and checked the time. First day of classes started in 1 hour. He stepped into the sonic shower, missing the feeling of real water. Everything here was designed for efficiency and the comfort of most galactic species, not humans. The air tasted filtered and artificial. Even the light felt wrong, too blue compared to Earth's sun. When Jack entered the dining hall, heads turned. Students whispered behind hands, tentacles, and breathing membranes. He loaded his plate with food that the system identified as human-compatible and looked for a place to sit. Over here, Katie waved from a table where she sat with Vex, Leary, and Zorn. Jack joined them, grateful not to eat alone. How did you sleep? Vex asked, his flower petals opening in what Jack had learned was a gesture of friendly concern. Hot, Jack admitted, but I'll adjust. Zorn's crystalline body made a grinding sound that translated as laughter. The Deathworlder finds our paradise uncomfortable. Ironic. Leary's fluid form rippled. First class is physical capabilities. Are you prepared? Jack shrugged. I guess we'll find out. The physical capabilities classroom was actually a large gymnasium with various exercise stations. Instructor Grax, a 6-limbed reptilian with tough scales, explained that today was baseline testing to determine each student's physical limits. We'll start with basic lifting capacity, Grax announced. Students lined up at devices calibrated to their species' typical strength ranges. Jack watched as Vex strained to lift what looked like a few pounds. Leary, being mostly liquid, tested differently, measuring the force of her current. Zorn, despite his rocky appearance, had modest strength. When Jack's turn came, he approached the human-designated machine. He gripped the handles and lifted. The machine beeped in alarm. That can't be right. Instructor Grax recalibrated the device. Try again, but ease into it. Jack lifted more carefully this time. The machine registered the weight, then beeped again as he reached its upper limit. 1,200 standard units. Grax's eyes widened. That's 3 times the expected maximum for your size. The room fell silent. Jack lowered the weights, embarrassed by the attention. Earth's gravity, Katie explained to the others. It's nearly twice what we have here. Makes Earthlings naturally stronger. Next came speed testing. When Jack ran, the sensor equipment struggled to track him. His reflexes tested faster than the machine could measure. Incredible, Grax muttered. Your reaction time would be necessary on a planet with active predators. Or cars, Jack said, but no one understood the reference. After class, Jack accidentally bumped into another student. A tall, muscular alien with red skin and 4 arms. The impact barely moved Jack, but the other student stumbled back several steps. Watch where you're going, Deathworlder, the alien growled. Sorry, Jack said. I'm still adjusting to the gravity. I am Nyx of the Centurion Dominion. The alien puffed up his chest. My people are the strongest warriors in the quadrant. Katie appeared at Jack's side. And humans are just students trying to get to class. Come on, Jack. She pulled him away, whispering, Centurions value strength above everything. Nyx won't like being shown up in physical capabilities. In biology class, Dr. Xalon, an ancient-looking alien with translucent skin that revealed complex organs beneath, introduced their semester project. Each student will present on their species' evolutionary adaptations to their homeworld. Dr. Xalon's voice weaves through multiple breathing orifices. Today, please submit your planet's basic environmental parameters. Jack input Earth's data. Temperature ranges from -50 to +50 degrees Celsius. Atmospheric pressure, radiation levels, gravity, weather patterns, tectonic activity, biodiversity including predator statistics, pathogen counts. As he worked, Jack noticed students around him staring at his screen in horror. Vex had actually moved his desk further away. Are these readings accurate, Student Miller? Dr. Xalon asked, reviewing Jack's submission. Yes, Professor. That's standard Earth data. Most remarkable. Dr. Xalon's organs pulsed with excitement. We have much to learn from you. As they left class, Katie fell into step beside Jack. You're becoming the most talked-about student here. Want to study together later? I have so many questions about Earth. Jack nodded, finally feeling a flicker of belonging. Maybe being Earth's toughest student wasn't so bad after all. Jack Miller stepped off the transport ship and took his first breath on Serenity Prime. The air felt too thin, too sweet. Everything about this world seemed wrong to his earthborn senses. The gravity pulled at him gently, like he might float away if he jumped too high. The perfectly regulated temperature left him feeling slightly too warm. But this was home now, at least for the next 4 years. The Galactic Academy of Sciences loomed before him, its crystal spires and floating platforms unlike any building on Earth. Students of every shape, size, and color moved through its halls. Some floated, some crawled, some had too many limbs to count. Among them, Jack stood out, not just as a human, but as something many of them feared, a Deathworlder. Student Miller, a tall, thin alien with pale blue skin, approached. I am Administrator Pell. Welcome to the Academy. Your presence here is unusual. Jack knew what that meant. Humans rarely left Earth. The wider galaxy considered his homeworld too dangerous, too unpredictable. Earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, predators, diseases. The list of hazards the humans took for granted shocked most galactic citizens. I'm happy to be here, Jack said, trying to sound friendly while also remembering to show fewer teeth. His orientation packet had warned that many species saw a full human smile as a threat display. Administrator Pell led Jack through hallways filled with whispers and stares. Your roommate is waiting to meet you. Vex is a Florian. His people evolved on a low-gravity garden world. He's nervous about meeting you. Jack sighed. He'd expected this, but it still felt unfair to be judged before anyone knew him. The door to his new room slid open to reveal a plant-like being with vine-like limbs and flowers blooming across what might have been shoulders. The Florian's skin was a soft green, and he trembled visibly when Jack entered. Hello. Vex's voice rustled like leaves in wind. You must be the human. I've prepared your side with the recommended reinforcements. He pointed to a bed that looked like it might actually hold Jack's weight, unlike the cloud-like sleeping pods most students used. Thanks, Jack said. I promise I'm not dangerous. I'm just here to learn, like everyone else. Vex's flowers closed slightly. But your world, they say Earth humans survive conditions that would kill most species instantly. Is it true you drink poison for enjoyment? Jack laughed. You mean caffeine and alcohol? Yeah, I guess many species can't process those. But that doesn't make me dangerous. Their conversation was interrupted by a group of students passing by. One stuck her head in, another human, to Jack's surprise. So the rumors are true. Another Earthling. She bounced into the room with the easy grace of someone born in low gravity. I'm Katie Williams, born on Luna Colony, third-generation off-worlder. She extended her hand. Never actually been to Earth. Jack shook her hand, relieved to see another human face. Nice to meet you. Two more students appeared at the doorway, one with shimmering fluid-like skin that seemed to ripple with each movement, and another with a rocky, crystalline body. This is Leary, Katie said, pointing to the fluid one. She's Meridian, water-based biology. And that's Zorn, he's Petraxian, silicon-based. Leary stayed by the door. Is it true what they say about Earth? That water falls from the sky with enough force to drown small creatures. We call it rain, Jack said. And yeah, sometimes it's heavy, but it's just normal weather. The three aliens exchanged looks of horror. You'll meet Dr. Xalan tomorrow in comparative biology, Katie explained. Everyone's doing presentations on how their homeworlds shaped their species. Yours should be interesting. Vex's trembling increased. Will you tell us about Earth's dangers? Jack looked around at their expectant, frightened faces. Even Katie seemed eager to hear about a planet she'd never visited despite her human heritage. Sure, Jack said, unpacking his bag. Inside was a small potted cactus from home, a hardy desert plant that had evolved spines to protect its precious water. Like humans, it had adapted to survive in one of Earth's harshest environments. I'll tell you everything you want to know, he promised, wondering how he could explain a world that had shaped humans into what the galaxy called Deathworlders, when to him, it was just home.